Welcome. Welcome to Get Known, Be Seen Web TV. I'm your host, Trish Springsteen. Get Known, Be Seen Web TV showcases those who are experts, sharing tips, strategies, and techniques on how you, the viewer, can get up there and get known, be seen. We also showcase people who are ready to take that step and want to showcase their book, their products, their service, and take that step into getting known and being seen. So I'm Trish Springsteen, your host, and today it's my great pleasure to introduce to you Jess Sermak, who is a spiritual coach and author. Hi, Jess. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thanks for having me on today. I'm really excited.
Delighted. So let's find out a little bit more about Jess before we have our conversation. Jess is a mother to 5 wonderful and wild children. Wow, 5. She keeps her busy because not only is that, she's a wife to an incredibly patient and supportive man, and she's also an entrepreneur, a life coach, an author, and a speaker. Jess is passionate about empowering women to be all that they were born to be, which I find resonates awfully with me. I love it. She wants to see each and every one of you to know the value of you, who you are, and to fully realize the power that lies within you. She wants you to be completely accepting of yourself in your life, in this moment, right now. Jess says you are more powerful than you realize because source energy is flowing through you and to you. Awesomely, Jess is also the author of an inspirational book, Becoming a Butterfly. We're going to speak a lot more about that. She helps women all over the world to connect inwards and align with their true soul purpose and guides them to remember who they are and to learn how to completely accept and embrace their uniqueness to create a life they love. Welcome, Jess. It's delightful to have you here. Awesome.
Thank you.
So let's dive in. Let's look at this book. I know this is a book that's just recently been launched, and it's one that you have poured your heart and soul into it. So just share a little bit with us about your book and what it's about.
Well, it really is my heart and soul on a platter. There was nothing off limits, and I'm very open and honest in the book. So it is my baby. I call it my 6th baby. And it's basically a story about my spiritual journey. And it begins when I decided, after I finished law school, I did a double degree in law and international business, and I decided it was time for me to reconnect. And so I embarked on this journey to Africa. And it was a phenomenal journey and an adventure. And I had so much fun there. I encountered some incredible people. I volunteered with children, and I fell in love with a Maasai warrior. So that was completely not what I went over to Africa to do, obviously. And then I ended up coming home after my volunteering experience, and I was thrown into a whirlwind, a storm. And it was the death of my mother, and unfortunately she took her own life, so she committed suicide. And it was a very troubling and sad time for me. It was very tragic. And so I really document a lot of that experience in my book because I don't think we talk about it enough. I don't think we really, it's sort of like a pink elephant in the room. And so I really go deep into that. And then it moves through into the next stage of my life, into becoming a mother and a wife and losing myself in that process, which was really difficult for me because I had these, huge dreams and aspirations. And then it moves into my family life and then trying to find me again and trying to find my purpose and what brought me happiness and what lit me up. And I know a lot of women can resonate with that and really relate to that experience. So that's basically what it's about. But more than that, it was really, I felt compelled to share my story in Becoming a Butterfly so that other women would sort of identify with that and understand that it's okay not to be okay at times. And we all have our own journeys, and I just wanted it to be a really inspirational, heartfelt, like a big warm hug, and to really, I guess, give my mum purpose after death. And so that was really what compelled me to write it. So yeah, that's basically what it's about.
Awesome. And you can hear the passion and see the passion about your book. And isn't it true that a lot of us, when we write our books, pretty well all of us, it's like having a baby. They are our babies. And one of the problems then is that we like to protect our baby and we hold it all tight to ourselves. And we forget that we need to share that baby. We need to share that book. So how have things been going with you? What's been the biggest issue you've had, say, sharing that book out there?
Oh, you're exactly right. You're spot on. When it's a really personal book, and I have really, when I made the decision to write this book, I made it wholeheartedly. I didn't want to go into it half-heartedly. So when you read it, there are things that are very deeply, deeply personal. And so gifting that to the world, because that's essentially what you're doing, you're gifting it. It was really difficult for me. I got really sick in the lead up to the book launch. But I had to realise, and Trish, you've helped me a lot with this, that there are people out there who need to hear your story. People who are looking for someone exactly like you, and there's no one else in this world like you. No one. There never ever will be. And I think each of us need to realise that if there is that potential to help somebody, we need to just step out of our comfort zones, be a little bit vulnerable, because who knows who we can help and who we can save and who we can inspire. And I guess that's really why I think you do need to put yourself out there.
Awesome. And that's very true. We never know who it is that could be picking up that book and reading just one or two pages of it and changing their world. Let's see a little close copy to that book. You've got one there to show us?
I do.
See it in the background there? Just let's have a look at it.
The artwork is just beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful.
A local man who did that for me, and you can see he's done the painting behind me too. He's just a gorgeous man. I'm very grateful.
Awesome. The title, how did that come apart? Was that something that was what it was going to be from the beginning, or was it something that has evolved and you evolved and changed it?
That's a really great question, because it wasn't the title that I originally had, and I do really feel that this book was very intuitive and very guided, and I really trusted in my inner knowing, and God, universe, whatever you would like to call him or her. I did a really deep meditation one day, and it all just flowed out, because my book does actually follow the 4 stages of a butterfly. So that birthing, that egg, the growth, where we, spiritual growth. The 3rd is the chrysalis, where we go inside and we really have to retreat inside. And then the 4th part of the book is becoming a butterfly, where we do us on purpose and we spread our wings because we've evolved to that point. And that's what I want every woman to get to in their life, to get to that point where they just are confident, they feel valued, they know what their gifts are to the world, their purpose, and they just spread their wings and they forget about being vulnerable and they just fly and touch thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people's lives.
That's awesome. And really, that's each and every one of us' journey, isn't it? If you think about it and step back, we each have that journey, and sometimes it's smooth, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's short, sometimes it's long. That's awesome. What was the biggest challenge for you in writing that book?
Well, having 5 kids, time is obviously a big challenge. And I know I hear a lot of people who would love to write a book and they're like, I can't. I just don't have the time right now. And, I was still working as I was writing the book. I still had to work. I had a part-time job, and I had 5 kids and a husband, and my husband had his own business as well. So time was challenging, but I did this for me, and I needed to I had to carve out that time. And so I think that was one of the greatest challenges. But also for me in writing this book was really trusting my intuition and allowing things to just flow through me that sometimes didn't make sense. And I've read it many times during the editing process, but I did go back and read it recently. And some of the things that are in this book are just so profound that they definitely didn't come from me. So it's trusting your intuition and trusting your guidance and you know, overcoming those challenges like time factors. Yeah.
Awesome. What's the biggest lesson that you have learnt from it?
Oh, goodness.
Writing.
The biggest lesson that I learned was to do me on purpose. And there, you know, I'm an avid, like I love reading. So it was at times a little bit like, you know, oh, should I be writing like this way? Or should this, you know, should this be edited in a different way? Or do I have enough big words in there? Does things make sense? Is it, you know, just make sense in my head? And so that was one of the things, but coming back to that again is really just trusting you and staying in your own lane and knowing that you are a gift in yourself and not trying to be like everybody else, because somebody else is, you know, them, individually them, and you are an individual as well, and you are just as valuable, you are just as powerful. Your words mean more to yourself. So you need to be true to who you are. And so I think that was that, yeah, I had to be really true to myself.
And those are really valid words, viewers. We are all unique and we all have a story.
Yep.
We just need to have that courage to step up and share that story and become the butterfly that Jess is talking about and get that story out. So what would be a couple of tips that you would give people who are just thinking about, should I write, should I not write? What should I write about?
I think the biggest tip that I would give somebody is if this is something that, you know, you hold internally and it's like sort of been niggling at you, then you need to trust that. So trust that there is something inside of you saying that you need to write or you need to share your story. And I have spoken to a lot of women who have sort of, you know, after I've written my book, have sort of said, oh, well, yeah, I'd love to, but I don't know if I'm good enough or if my story's good enough. Or it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. If you have this longing and this desire, you need to trust in that, because you are, you know, you are so valued, and your story is going to be completely different to my story and to Trisha's story. And we need that. I mean, we love devouring books. So it's not like it's never going to be read. There are so many people out there who need you and who need your story because they will relate to your story. They might not relate to mine, and other people relate to mine and not yours. And so I guess, you know, allowing yourself to birth a book is a beautiful thing. It's a legacy. And each of us, you know, should have that opportunity if we want that, you know, if we so desire. And the other aspect would be putting yourself out there, being a little bit vulnerable. Yes, sometimes it does feel a little bit nerve-wracking and icky and, you know, all sorts of scary. But I'll tell you one thing, when you overcome that, you are on the biggest high. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, that you are. And I just thought from that, share us just a little bit, what were your feelings when you opened that box and actually held your copy in your hand? How did that feel?
It was almost as good as holding my first child.
Yeah.
It was, because it was something I dreamt about this. I knew that I had a book inside me 10 years ago. I knew that the moment the police knocked on my door and they said that they found my mum and unfortunately she was deceased, I knew in that moment that I had a story. I had a very profound story. And it took a lot of self-development and a lot of believing in myself and a lot of, you know, I think a lot of us women go through this where we don't think we're good enough, and, you know, we sort of start to sleepwalk through life and we don't know, you know, what we're doing and where we're going, and it can all be a bit much, particularly when you're in the thick of raising kids.
Mm.
And trying to find who you are again can be really difficult and lonely and scary. And so when I opened that box, it was one of the best feelings in the world. And all my kids were there, and my husband was there, and my kids were so excited. They were so proud. They thought I was like, it was like they thought of me as equivalent as like a movie star or something. They're just like, you're just awesome. And that was just it was a great feeling.
Oh, brilliant. And it is, people, for those who have written their books, you'll always remember that first one. But each time you write one, you'll always remember the first time you see that particular book and actually feel it in your hand. It's just like Jess has described. It's a brilliant, brilliant feeling. Now, Jess, you're a spiritual coach. Do you want to share a little bit about that involvement in there?
Yeah, sure. So going back to my story, I grew up as a very, raised as a Christian, and, spirituality was the work of the devil. So it was sort of, I knew ever since I was a very little girl that I had psychic gifts, and I could see auras at, 4 or 5. And so I always knew I had those gifts, but I locked them in a little box, and I threw away the key. And then after my mum died, you'll be able to read that in my book, Becoming a Butterfly. But there were so many unanswered questions. There were so many things that didn't make sense. It wasn't just that she committed suicide, there was also a criminal investigation. We didn't even know what time she died. And so after that, I knew in my heart that I had to reconnect with, God, the universe. I had to reconnect with my inner guidance system and my spirit guides, and connect with my mum. I had to find out the answers to these questions that I had. And so I opened that again. And initially it was difficult, but it was the best thing that I've ever done. And, learning to go to that place and to meditate and to be, one with yourself is a phenomenal thing. And so I decided about a couple of years ago. So last year I did the course that I needed to do to become a coach, because I was a lawyer. So it's a very different journey for me. But I decided to do the course, and I absolutely loved it. It was very heart-centered, and it was exactly right up my alley. And I have always had this innate desire to just help women to love who they are. And I think that resonates kind of like, from my mum and not being able to save her, unfortunately. And so I have this really deep passion for helping women to connect with their spirituality and to deeply, deeply connect with their inner guidance system, so that they can truly be who they are and not be a people pleaser or not be somebody else, and they can feel valued and, fall in love with themselves again. And I'm not talking about in a conceited way. I'm talking about that genuine, deep love and respect that each of us should have for ourselves. That's basically what I help women do.
Oh, how brilliant is that? That really touches a lot of things for women out there. And you can easily, I believe, need to get Jess's book, Becoming a Butterfly, and work with her, because she has so much inside to give to you. Jess, how has the book helped you to leverage your business?
Oh, goodness. It has given me so much more credibility. And I think people want to work with me because they have access to my story. So they have that background. They know that I'm not just somebody who's just done a course and I'm going to help you become, more spiritual. They know my background. They know where I've been, the deep trauma that I've suffered, the depression, the anxiety. And I think I personally would much rather work with somebody who's been through these things than somebody who has just got education about them. But that's me personally, and I know a lot of people like that as well. They want to, they want somebody who's been in those deep places because they truly understand. And so the book has really given me, you know, credibility. It's been able to offer more value to my clients. It's been able to, you know, I can put that on my website, and, you know, people, if they're not ready to work with me yet, then they normally get my book, and then they usually love my book and then decide that they want to connect and get in touch. So, yeah, it's been great, and being able to use it in different facets, and you know, going to stands, or, you know, I have some in the back of my car, and even my dad, he's been handing them out to people as well, because he's, you know, he's just proud of me, and that's super sweet.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Would you write another book?
I've already written another one.
Yeah.
So that one will probably be coming out next year, and then I am in the process of doing a bit of a different book right now, which is really exciting. It's more of a self-help book, and I'm hoping it will be more spiritual than what this one was. So I'm really excited to really tap into my gifts and write from a different place this time. So stay tuned.
It does become a little bit of a habit, doesn't it? Once you've written your first book, and for a lot of us, oh, that wasn't quite so hard, or wow, look what I've done. Maybe I could do it again. You have to watch out for that. It does come like that.
Yeah.
Oh, who has influenced you the most?
Oh, this is a great question. I mean, there are so many phenomenal people in the world, so many women that inspire me, but I think the person that really resonates with me is obviously my mother. She's given me so much hope and so much wisdom in her life. She was a phenomenal woman. I mean, she had her demons and the things that troubled her, and she had a very, very traumatic childhood, and then from that, you know, she battled with depression for most of her life. But the things that she instilled in me, and the strength that she gave me as a woman, you know, because she came from the deep South in America, where, you know, women were seen and not heard. You did as you were told, you know. And so for her to, you know, instill into me that I can do absolutely anything as a woman, I think, you know, just is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And she inspires me every day, even though she's not here with me anymore. I know she's here with me in spirit.
And in that book, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So just share with us one more time, what's your book? Where can you get it?
Well, the best place to get my book is directly from me, from my website, which is www.jesssermak.com. And there is a link on there, and you can get my book directly from there, or it's available on Amazon or also on Kindle. And it's also available at a couple of spiritual shops on the Gold Coast. But you just PM me and I can let you know where they are.
Awesome. And that's Becoming a Butterfly by Jess Sermak. Awesome, awesome. You have something that you want to give away to our viewers. So what would that be, Jess?
I certainly do. I would love to give you all a free chapter of my book so you can sort of get a taste for the way that I write. It is a beautiful chapter. It's an inspirational chapter, and it's a chapter that just every time I read it, it just touches me. So you can get that directly from my website. Just jump onto the website. A box will come up, or alternatively, there's a bar at the top that says, you know, access a free chapter, and you just click on that into your email address, and I will shoot it straight over to your inbox so you can have a little bit of a read, see what you think.
That is an awesome offer, and there will be a link below this video, which will have those details as well. And if they want to get in touch with you to find out more about Jess and what Jess does,
yeah, sure. So directly from my website, there's heaps of info on there, and there's lots of beautiful pickies from the book, because there's quite a few pictures in the book from the Maasai village, and my adventures through Africa and my beautiful babies. So the colour version of those photos are on my website, and some of them are just gorgeous. So website, and I'm also on social media, Facebook, Jess Sermak, entrepreneur, life coach and author. And I'm also on Instagram, jess.sermak, and info@jesssermak.com is my email address.
Brilliant, people. There are all the ways that you can get in touch with Jess, and I would urge you to contact her, grab that free chapter to start with if that's the way you want to go, or go straight all in and grab that beautiful book, Becoming a Butterfly, and then have a look and conversation with Jess. You may want to talk with her. She's a spiritual coach and author, and it's been delightful to have you here with us today, Jess. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and your book.
Oh, thank you so much, Trish. I really, really appreciate it, and I appreciate you as a person for helping me and you know, being there for me. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. People, you've been watching Get Known, Be Seen WebTV, and our session today has been with Jess Sermak, spiritual coach and author. From what we've heard, Jess has shared her book, Becoming a Butterfly, and it is a brilliant expose on her journey and how that actually mirrors the butterfly journey, which is something that we all do. She's shared parts of her story and has really opened and delved deep in sharing some very personal issues and personal stories and personal concerns, which actually do resonate with each and one of us in some way. So it's been awfully awesome to be listening and hearing from Jess about her book, and I recommend it. Get Known, Be Seen Web TV is hosted by myself, Trish Springsteen. I'm Australia's leading expert in empowering introverts, a creative business consultant, a multi-international award-winning mentor and speaker, and contributing author and co-author to 16 books, with a few more coming out this year. If you would like to be a guest on Get Known, Be Seen Web TV, you can contact me and just put a comment below, or you can PM me on Facebook. Go to my website, trishspringsteen.com. You can work with me there, or if you'd like me to be a speaker or MC at one of your events, you can contact me there. For those authors out there, we also have a book marketing club, and the details are on my website. It is a great place for published authors and soon-to-be published authors to work with me over 12 months to leverage and repurpose your book. Don't forget to push the subscribe button here so that you will always be notified when the next episode comes out. Until next time, I'm Trish Springsteen. Be awesome and become a butterfly.